video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time here on this Monday, Super Bowl Monday, I guess you could say. The day after the Super Bowl, we're here live today. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us over on Centex Sports Network on YouTube, on Facebook, and also on Instagram as well. Want to thank all you guys for joining in with us. It is the day after the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles are on top of the world. They're probably already at Disney World celebrating. They probably really dispersed a little bit everywhere since they won this Super Bowl. But Super Bowl Monday here, the Philadelphia Eagles, like I said, take out the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. Definitely something I did not see coming going into this game. And man, Philadelphia came out there and handled business. We got plenty to talk about here today, folks, on Centex Primetime. Got to talk about everything to do with the Eagles versus Chiefs. We'll break down the game. We'll talk about Jalen Hurts leaving with that Super Bowl MVP. We'll talk a little bit of quick takes, too. Luka Doncic makes his Lakers debut tonight against the Utah Jazz. We'll talk about Anthony Davis and his debut against my Rockets on the Dallas Mavericks and the injury that he sustained during that game. So we got plenty to talk about here today on Centex Primetime, so we'll get right into it. Joining me here on the show today, we got a full house. Usually here on Mondays, you guys know, we've got the WISD Hall of Famer, former Texas Tech Raider, and former San Diego Charger as well, Mr. Wayne Walker in the building with us. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah, Super Bowl hangover for a lot of people. That includes drinks. That includes the bets that you won or lost. And I think we got a little bit of all of that here today for the winners and losers. Also joining me here today, usually here on Tuesdays, but he snuck in here with us today for the Super Bowl Monday, Super Bowl hangover. Mr. Rocky Miller in the building with us. Rock, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? It's glad to be. I had a lot of thoughts about this game, man, and I wanted to bounce them off you guys as well as with our audience, and so I'm happy to be here, man. And guess what?
I got a little extra change.
Yeah. Hey, I'm telling you,
all right.
feels okay. Well, hey, all the Centex Primetime fans out there, I told y'all that Eagles plus 1.5. That's the easiest cash I made all year, man. I think I couldn't have sat in the house and went to sleep for that one, man. No sweat whatsoever. I ain't gonna talk about my prize picks ones because Nolan Smith, I don't even want to see you on the Eagles no more, man. But congratulations for winning, but you messed my parlay up. But we'll get right into it, folks. 40-22 is the Super Bowl score here. The Eagles completely dominate against the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I told you, I'm not going to do too many I told you so's, but like I said at the beginning of the year, these Chiefs ain't going to three-peat. Now, it took all the way to the end of the year for that prediction to come true, but nonetheless, they don't three-peat. Eagles come out here and win. I came out and I picked the Eagles plus 1.5, like I told you guys. I can't take credit for predicting this. I did not predict a 40-22 blowout, which makes it look a lot closer than actually what it was. This game was not close. This game was 24-0 at halftime. At one point, this game was 40-6 in the third quarter going into the fourth quarter. For a majority of the fourth quarter, honestly, it was 40-6. This is an absolute beatdown, one of the worst losses from a Super Bowl favorite in NFL history. These guys were favored. Obviously, they're coming off of 2 back-to-back championships, going for the third one. They got Patrick Mahomes, who's the best player in football to some people. They got a guy that's the GOAT of quarterbacks to some people. So, obviously, they're going to be the favorite. Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, all the reasons we laid out. But the Eagles came in here with the game plan, and they executed the game plan to the T. Yes, they took away Saquon Barkley. 57 rushing yards on 25 carries. His longest touchdown was 10 yards. Okay, so they took something away there. But Jalen Hurts stepped up in a huge way, 17 for 22, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick in this game. 11 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown rushing as well. Jalen Hurts, well-deserved, winning the Super Bowl MVP. Like I said, I picked the Eagles because they're honestly just a better team, like they showed it on Sunday. Did I pick them to blow them out this much? Not even a chance. I had no idea that this was going to happen, but was I too shocked about it happening? Once I saw it, I was watching the game with some people yesterday, and after the Eagles should have scored on that first drive, but a pass interference happened. I knew the refs was going to try to get something up in there, but the pass interference happens with A.J. Brown. They don't get the touchdown or they don't get the first down. After that, the Eagles get the ball back. They get a stop on Kansas City. They get the ball back, and they easily go down the field and score on virtually the exact same play, just to a different receiver. I said at that point, oh, no, Kansas City don't have a chance. They're not stopping Philadelphia even a little bit. Philadelphia's getting to whatever they want to get to outside of a Saquon Barkley run, but nothing else was challenged whatsoever by this Kansas City Chiefs defense. And once I seen that, man, I knew it was pretty much over. The Eagles D-line stepped up in a huge way. They come out here and they get 6 sacks on Patrick Mahomes, similar to what we saw Tampa Bay do to Patrick Mahomes when he lost his first Super Bowl against the GOAT Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All in all, Eagles, dominant performance, both sides of the ball. They win this game 40-22. Fellas, I'll let you guys get your opinion on this. Rock, I'll start with you. When you seen this game, what was just your thoughts watching the Eagles dominate the Kansas City Chiefs like this?
Well, I was really surprised that, for the most part, that there were no adjustments made from where I thought who had the most superior coaching staff, right? I thought the combination of Andy Reid and Spagnuolo were the better, coaching staff. I thought Kellen Moore, he could get pass happy at times, and then Fangio, he plays the bend with don't break defense, and I'm not a big fan of that. I like high pressure defenses and whatever. So I thought the coaching edge went to the Chiefs, but in this game that wasn't the case. Like there were not adjustments made, in my opinion, on the Chiefs. Andy Reid, he came in the game, in my opinion, that it was the entire game was going to be on the arm of Patrick Mahomes, win or lose. And in this particular game, that was just a recipe for disaster because the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs could not hold up against that rotation of defensive players by the Eagles. It wasn't just one guy that was wrecking the game. It was literally looked like a mismatch up front, and that's what really led to the blowout.
Yeah.
And I like to piggyback off of what Rocky said. Man, the game plan was just flawed from the beginning. You get Andy Reid 2 weeks to get ready for a team, and they don't come through. Wasn't no adjustments made. But the Eagles been playing the same defense all year. And you think with 2 weeks to prepare that you think that they would have a better game plan. But when you can rush with 4 guys and get to the quarterback and you putting pressure on them and you leave 7 to cover 4, that's a mixed match in itself because 7 can cover 4 all day long.
Yeah.
But they got it done with 4 guys that was pushing the pocket. He couldn't step up. He couldn't roll out. He couldn't do anything. So and they didn't do anything to adjust to that. You have to run the ball. I don't care if you don't get yours. You still have to run the ball, and you have to keep them true to what you believe. You have to run the ball, so you do have that threat of running the ball. You have to take quick screens, and then you also have to be able to protect, because one thing when they play a zone coverage, and it was all zone, like Rocky said, a bend but don't break type of defense, you have to be able to get to the open area. Because in zone defenses, guys have an area to cover. That's their assignment. You have to cover an area. But you can find holes if you have time. But the problem was they didn't have any time.
Yeah.
And so when you can cover 4 guys with 7, the 7 is always going to win. So I think that was a problem. And then on the defensive side for Kansas City, you sell out and you stop the run. But then that's going to leave holes for them to pass the ball, and Jalen Hurts could use his legs a little bit. And that's what they was able to do. So they was able to take advantage of it. But like I said, I know going in, I picked the Eagles because I seen that. The matchup would have been Baltimore, Philadelphia, or Buffalo, because they can run the ball, and they have big linemen that can push the line of scrimmage. But that was just a bad matchup from the beginning.
Well, think about this, guys. I did some research and found out that in the history of the NFL, there's been 8 games that was played like this, the Kansas City Philadelphia game in this regard. Philadelphia did not blitz one time.
Once. Yeah. I saw that as well.
They didn't have to.
And of the 8 times in NFL history has happened, the team that didn't blitz has won all 8 times.
They didn't have to blitz. They didn't have to blitz.
And again, I also wanted to piggyback on this. And Fangio had a reason not to blitz, because this season and probably for the last 5 years, the best quarterback against the blitz has been Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, yes it has.
So I guess he had a really sound reason for not blitzing.
Mm-hmm.
What really surprised me in this game is that, and me and you talked about it prior to Wayne arriving here in the studio, is that there was a refusal on Patrick Mahomes' part to take the check down even when it was there.
Refusal.
He
the
just
perfect way to put
throw it. He was looking, and maybe you can explain this, Walker. Is that I also saw this trend in the game. And even the first pass that they completed, they were only trying to hit the Eagles over the middle. They weren't really trying to do anything outside. Can you explain why they were doing that?
Well, that's the zone defense. It allows you to get those passes in the middle.
Yeah.
But when you have extreme pressure on you and the line of scrimmage is controlled by the defensive front, you don't get to those spots.
Yeah. Routes don't
develop. I mean, it's like he was taking 5-step drops, but by the time he get to his field drop, they right there in his face.
And the pressure was not an interesting thing. We were watching the highlights earlier. It wasn't that the pressure was he would get pressure up the middle, of course, but he couldn't even go right or left.
He couldn't go right or left, and that's what you do. You try to stay even. They
weren't even using pass rush moves. Like they literally were just walking them back to the quarterback.
They were disciplined in their rush pursuit. of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
All of you, what you want to do is you want to level off. You want to control the line of scrimmage and level off where he can't step up or he can't step out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they was able to do. The game plan from Philadelphia was outstanding because if you can rush with 4 guys and control the line of scrimmage, the game is won in the trenches, and we all know that, offensively and defensively. But when you can control the line of scrimmage, man, that is such a big advantage. And you got 7 guys dropping. They have to keep their running back in most of the time, and they have to keep a tight end back most of the time. So that's like 4 guys going out for routes against 7 guys, man.
That math don't add up at no time. And to your point, them getting the pressure up the middle, like I said last week, I think one of their biggest mistakes was moving Joe Thuney, who's an all-pro left guard for 10 years at this point, moving him to left tackle, because then you not only compromise the left tackle, still going to be compromised because he's not a left tackle, but now you compromise the interior, which is the only good thing that you've had going. All year long, they had the worst tackles in the league. And I told somebody this yesterday to your point about them trying to go over the middle. That's been Kansas City's offense all year. They haven't been explosive the entire year. They haven't thrown the go routes on the outside the entire year.
But they've been effective because they've
been
winning.
Effective. Yeah, they were
they've
winning.
Been effective because they've been winning.
I'm gonna tell you this: Tooney was gonna get ate up by Jalen Carter anyway.
Yeah,
he was gonna get ate up by Jordan.
I 100% agree with you. I agree with you.
Milton Williams anyway. What I'm saying is he had the. In all honesty, the reason why I think they played him out at tackle is because he had a matchup that they felt that he could control. That the ends that they have on that side are not dominant guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're not dominant guys. But what they were doing, they weren't using pass rush moves or anything like that. They were just simply doing the forklift and walking them back into Patrick Mahomes.
Walking them back.
Yeah, because even Jordan Davis got a sack.
This is a defense that lost their leading sacker, Hassan Reddick, the year before that.
Yep.
But they had a better defense because then you bring in Fangio.
They were weak in the secondary.
Yeah, they Fangio. So they what they did was in the draft. What they did in the draft was they drafted a guy that could be a cover guy, and then you take what's his name, Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, and he comes up and he plays above his head, and so now, I mean,
I think when we now you got to understand. I think Philly played a lot of their season with either Slay out and then the safety, I can't think of his name right now.
C.J. Chauncey Gardner.
Yeah, he was out a few times.
Mm-hmm.
But as a unit, I can't think of a better unit in the secondary. And here's another thing. They play a 4-2-5 defense, meaning that they play every down with 5 defensive backs. And so
that's the advantage when you can rush with 4.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole key.
And when the team across from you is refusing to run the ball.
Me and you could have played defensive back yesterday because of the scheme. Because of the scheme. Because when you're able to get pressure with 4, man, that is such a big advantage. That is such a big advantage. Even as a receiver, you running out and you can't find a lane, you can't find a hole because it's 4 against 7.
Yeah.
It's 4 against 7. So if you got 2 receivers over here on the right on the right side, you got 3 guys that can cover that side against 2. On the other side, you got 4 guys that can cover 2 guys. You understand what I'm saying? So it was just a bad matchup. They put them in a bad hole.
Can you briefly explain this? Because I did some research last night.
Mm-hmm.
Game finished early, so I was looking. Fangio plays kind of like a zone, but he also plays match. Not man, but match.
Match zone, yeah.
Match zone.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So what it looks like to me is that he matches wide receivers with corners.
Right.
He never lets a safety cover a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And when a guy is, say if they want trips to one side and they single over, it plays more like a man-to-man defense with a safety over the top in that situation.
Because then when you have a guy like Quinyon Mitchell who can cover man-to-man, then it's really a big advantage because he can play man-to-man and everybody else can play zone. He can take away the best receiver.
And they never put and this is the interesting thing, they never have their corners and run force. they always have their safeties in run force, which are generally better tacklers, more
And they got
physical
two aggressive
guys.
safeties, yeah.
So it's interesting defense when you really think about the concept, because you have the safeties really in run protection and in deep pass.
It's similar, in my opinion,
the
to
Kansas
Seattle.
City Chiefs, their first 3 possessions was 3 and outs.
Well, they got to say their first pass was the Juju.
Well, yeah, they got it. They made,
you know, and it looked like they were about to do something, but that quickly.
That was short lived because right after that, Josh Sweat was in the backfield.
You know, a few times it looked like he may have had somebody in the middle, but goes back to what you're saying, Walker. The inside, they would get so much pressure up front, he couldn't even follow through.
They were disciplined in their rush lanes, and that's what you have to be
disciplined.
in that type of deal. You have to be disciplined in your rush lanes. You're not trying to go on the outside. What you're trying to do is stay disciplined and just drive your man back. And then once you detach, then you come off and you can go and hit the quarterback.
Let me ask you this. Let's look at, before we get into Jalen Hurts, because I really want to talk about his performance.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to talk about who was on the trajectory of being the GOAT, Patrick Mahomes, and who's from your alma mater.
Yeah.
Is this a setback for him in his ascension to GOAT status?
No, exactly not. I mean, I'm going to tell you why. The man has been to, 4 Super Bowls? The man got, 3 rings?
Mm-hmm.
You can't
5
take
Super
that away.
Bowls,
That's already, that's in the history books. That's
It is.
established. He's been to the AFC Championship game 6 out of 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
How can you take that away? You can't take that away.
He's only been to the AFC Championship game. I think he's been to the Super Bowl
he's been
5
there
out of 7 years.
As a starting quarterback, he's been there 7 times.
7 times. Super Bowl 5 out of 7 years.
You can't take that away. You can't take that away.
You can't take it.
And he's still, the thing about Kansas City is they're resilient. They've been able to transform their team. They had a guy like Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're in this stage where they have to. But the thing they have to do is they're gonna have to get better linemen. They're gonna have to get some linemen that can block. If you wanna play with the best quarterback in the league, and you have to give him time. You have to be able to give him time. He didn't have time yesterday. He was dead in the water yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't care how good you is. I don't care how good of a quarterback you are. If you put that pressure on him, it's a different level.
This reminds me of old, and I know Walker remembers. I don't know if Jalen remembers. This reminds me of old Philadelphia Andy, when he was gonna win the ball passing with Mahomes or with McNabb, or even Vic, and even sometimes Nick Foles. He was gonna pass with him no matter what. And sometimes he just neglected to run the football, even when he had guys like
Brian Westbrook,
Shady McCoy, Deuce McAllister. I forget Deuce Staley.
Yeah, Deuce Staley. Yeah.
He would just neglect to run the ball. And that's what he came in today with he wanted to get to his clever stuff. And I just think Fangio's defense is not the defense to be doing the clever stuff with.
No, I think
you got to do the fundamentals.
You got to be methodical. You got to just take your shots. You got to take what they give you. Like you said, he had a couple of checks downs, and he trying to hold on to the ball. He back there spinning and all of this type of stuff. Man, you got to get rid of the ball. I mean, you have to take what they give you in that time. And like you say, it's a bend but don't break type of defense. So when it's a bend but don't type, you have to just take your shots. You have to deacon down all the way down the field.
Yeah, and that's what he refused to do. Like we were saying with
and then you have to run the ball, and you have to run screens. You have to do all of those things. You have to do all of those things.
Why do y'all think they got away from the run so early? I understand, like you said, the history of Andy Reid.
In my opinion, they didn't come in the game to run. They came in the game thinking that they on paper, I think the matchups that they had on paper were good matchups on the inside. I think Kelsey against Bond on paper is a good matchup. You know what I mean? Also, you could use Noah Gray against the other safety. That was a good matchup. But here's what happened. They literally took Kelsey away because they put Bond in, have to cover him man to man. he was just shouting him underneath.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't
And
put
then
their
the safety
linebackers
was
on tight ends
and the
in that
safety was
defense.
over the top.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he could.
they was inside out in the coverage,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it a very difficult throw for any quarterback, especially when you're under duress. And that was the whole key. The front four, that's the MVP of the game to me.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
it is.
they couldn't do anything. If you can't score points, it's nothing that you could do. I mean, they dominated the game. That was my MVP.
There was some crazy stats. I want to say, in the first half, in the first quarter,
23 yards.
23 yards.
Yeah, 23 yards
yards.
in the first. Yeah.
They didn't cross the 50-yard line in the first half.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
Like it was crazy. And even at that, I still thought there was gonna be some magic by Mahomes. But then I
did too.
realized. But then there was a point I realized. I want to say midway through the second quarter, even after he threw the interception to Bonds, so you know where it was going. I was like, they're just not. The Eagles are not gonna let up defensively.
No.
Like they came here to step on their neck.
I knew this game was going to be out of hand because when you can rush with four, if you don't go in and make no adjustments at halftime, and they didn't.
Not
they didn't
one.
Make no adjustments.
They didn't make one.
They came out doing the same thing, and the same thing continued to happen to them.
Yeah.
So I knew the game was over with at halftime.
Oh yeah, it's
Because
24 to 0.
the thing
Yeah,
about it is, now you have to be one-dimensional. Now you have to pass the ball to get back in the game.
which wasn't working the entire night.
The whole night. From the first three plays when you came out and you passed the ball,
Yeah.
the first three plays.
Yeah.
You already knew who was dominating the game, and it was the defense. It was a defensive front. So once you one-dimensional, you're not gonna win in the NFL being one-dimensional. And you can't protect.
And you're playing against their best unit. Their best unit is the defensive line.
Yeah, because these guys can peel their ears back, and all they know is they have to rush.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, for an offensive lineman, the worst thing to do is to have to pass protect the whole game.
Oh yeah.
That's the worst thing you want to do is you have to pass protect the whole game. Now, when you talk about putting a hat on somebody and you want to run the ball, that's what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to yield to the lineman. You got to run the ball a little bit, and they never did that. They never got into that.
What made it so difficult for them to then transition to the screen draws, quick game? Like, why couldn't they get transition? I like to bring up Brady a lot of times when we talk about adjustments that Brady made in those situations with you. Whenever Brady would come under a lot of pressure, you knew what was coming. The quick screens, the stop routes, all that kind of stuff. And he would try with the wide receivers, he tried with the tight ends, and then he tried with the running back.
Yeah.
You know, he was gonna get to the quick game some kind of way. And it seemed like, now I'm not saying this is Mahomes' fault, but it just seemed like that wasn't what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the element of surprise was gone. You had to start doing that in the first quarter.
Yeah.
You can't start doing it when you're 24 down because now they expecting it. Now everything is passed. Watch the quick game. Now Philadelphia knows, hey, they can't go deep on us. We can rush with four. The game plan just stayed the same. So now the element of surprise, you're not trying to run the ball. You're not trying to do quick screens. Now we know that stuff is coming. So now you can't get to it because now it's too late because you didn't start doing it in the beginning.
And then down and distance, I think, took them out of a lot of that stuff too, probably.
Yeah.
Because they were really bad on,
holding.
They were really bad on first down.
Man,
Like,
They were terrible on first down. Every single first down.
And so when that element of surprise went out the window in the first quarter because you already behind the 8 ball and now you behind, so now you trailing. Philadelphia able to do whatever they want to do. Then you're trying to sell out on defense and you're trying to put 8 in the box, and it's just throwing catches like playing 7-on-7 out there for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
If I don't find nobody open, they didn't rush 7 and they taking these wide passing. I can run the ball. I can go get me 10 and slide and do what I want to do. So, man, Kansas City game plan was just flawed. And they played well on defense the first half, I want to say.
They did.
They did.
Kansas City did.
Mhm.
They did. They played
But
pretty good.
they spotted them. The Kansas City's offense spotted them 14 points dang near with the pick 6 and then a pick on the 15-yard line.
I'll say this. They played well enough to be in the game. They still
did.
gave up
They did.
200, almost 200. I guess 150 yards in the first half.
But
They couldn't guard one-on-one, and that's the matchup I knew they was going to attack.
They couldn't guard one-on-one, and they stayed on the field a whole lot. You just
Too
look
much.
at the time
Yeah,
of possession.
that's yeah.
Man, when the defense is tired,
Yeah.
and then they were balanced because even though Saquon didn't get a lot of yardage, they still ran the ball.
He got a lot of carries. He still
He
got
got
25 carries.
They still kept him honest.
Yeah.
And then Hurts got 11 to 12
Yeah,
carries.
he did.
So they even though
Gainwell got 6 carries. I mean, they were.
So they were running the ball. It wasn't
Just to keep him honest. And that's what Kansas City didn't do. Kansas City didn't run the ball to keep him honest. You still have, even if you got to take that sometime. You got to keep him honest and say, hey, because then when you become one-dimensional and you just passing, man, that's the easiest thing. To know what they're going to do, that's the easiest thing to defend.
Yeah, and they knew exactly what they were going to.
And then on the same token, by the same token, Jalen, Kansas City knew Philadelphia was going to run the ball, but they did it anyway, right? So they kept them honest.
And
So-
that opened up those passing lanes and the QB rushing lanes, but in those third downs. And a lot of times that Kansas City defense, as well as they're playing, they couldn't get off the field on third down. There was a lot of third down conversions from that Eagle and 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 8s. It wasn't a lot of the tush push. We didn't see that a lot.
And one of the touchdowns was an all-out blitz.
Oh yeah,
that they beat.
one of the Saquon went across Jalen's face. Got picked up the
and that's a touchdown. So sometimes when you pick and choose a blitz, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, I think Spagnuolo is a aggressive guy.
very.
He's a very aggressive guy, and I think in this particular situation, game situation, right? I don't think aggression. He could have taken it easy on and made, because I think there were times when he tried to make Jalen throw in the coverage, and Jalen, scrambled out and made a play, and a few times though Jalen threw it away. So I think the first field goal, Jalen threw it out of bounds and they kicked the field goal. Whereas the series before, he had tried to blitz him. Now what gets him, what encourages him to blitz, because he all out blitzes and Jalen throws the interception.
That pick, yeah.
So that encourages all we got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you say, with them being balanced, it kind of nullifies some of those blitz and down and distance situation makes the blitz sometimes. Matter of fact, it makes it where down and distance you get in a situation where you have to blitz to stop them, and then they're able to hit Devontae Smith, Javon Dotson, AJ Brown.
And a couple of times they blitzed and Philadelphia ran the ball.
Yeah.
So it wasn't no timely blitzing like he usually does. He's usually kind of pretty good on picking up when they're going to pass.
I didn't realize, but on like 3rd and like 12 in the second half, they ran a QB power for like 16 yards.
Yeah, they did. Because they knew exactly what you finna send the house. All right, we're going to get these big 6'8", 6'9" linemen pulling and moving forward and run behind them.
Push them on, let them
Speaking
through.
of that, what is the let me ask you guys this. Talking about Jalen Hurts now. What is the conversation now about Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, has had a pretty tough last 2 years for a guy who played phenomenal in the Super Bowl.
Outstanding.
And then these next 2 years was, in my opinion, his team has been okay, make the playoffs both times. But he's been criticized quite a bit.
Especially after that 8 or 9 game losing streak last year when they went 9-0 and then lost every single game after that. He led the league in turnovers that whole year. Leading into the beginning of this year, he had the most turnovers in the league. I think Jalen Hurts has elevated himself to another level because of obviously the Super Bowl MVP, but outplaying Patrick Mahomes, who's going to be considered in the top 2 or 3 no matter what he does the rest of his career, outplaying him in 2 Super Bowls. The first one, he just didn't get the ball back. Jalen Hurts didn't get the ball back. Mahomes got the ball with 6 minutes left. The Eagles never touched the ball again, and that's why they won. But he outplayed Mahomes in that game. This game, he outplays Mahomes once again. I think he's elevated to himself. I'm ready to put him in as a top 5 QB as of right now. We talked about our top 5 QBs the other day. Yeah, I know it's kind of.
I'm not going that far.
I would because we said we got the obvious names: the Mahomes, the Burrow, the Lamar, the Josh Allen, and that fifth spot is up for grabs, in my opinion.
I'm gonna compare now.
I say here top 10.
Top 10 for
not
sure.
Styles, Walker.
Not top 5.
I want you to get this. Not Styles, because their styles are very different.
Mm-hmm.
But I see him in the same vein that I think a lot of people view Troy Aikman.
Okay.
In this regard, Troy was afforded with the full complement
of weapons,
talent around him.
Mm-hmm.
And Troy is seen as a great quarterback, right? But as a Dallas fan, he wasn't asked to carry a season. He wasn't very few games he was asked to carry.
Yeah.
But in the big games, he never made big mistakes, and he made a lot of key throws and key plays when there was a high leverage play.
Yeah.
He made a few high leverage plays. So when you look at Troy's stats aren't remarkable in no way. Matter of fact, I'll say this: Randall Cunningham has better stats than Troy.
Oh
Aikman.
yeah, for sure.
But when you look at what Troy was able to do as a winner, I think he's viewed in very high regard because of that. And I think Jalen Hurts, after it's all said and done, because I don't think he'll have great stats. I think there's going to be, if the Eagles continue along this journey, they're going to have games where he throws for 125, 130 yards.
But Troy Aikman had
yards.
the same thing that Jalen Hurts had. He had a top running back with Emmitt Smith. He had a top receiver. He had the best offensive line. He had Jay Novacek.
Great defense.
And then the defense the same way.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for success.
Yeah.
At any point. So I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback because if you put Lamar Jackson in that offense there.
He's above none of those guys. Yeah, for sure.
Even if you put a Joe Burrow in that offense.
Yeah.
But let's be honest about this though. This is what I want to say. So there have been I'm a Dak guy, right? I always thought from the very first season he played quarterback full time. I thought he was a better version of Dak. He was a more dynamic Dak, right? All right. There are a lot of people that have said over the past 2 years, especially, Cousins is a better quarterback. Jared Goff is a better quarterback. Aging Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback, right? Some people would say they take Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray.
Hurts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is what I want to say. I want to say that he fits well with his team. He does a great job with his team. And you cannot judge him just based on stats.
Yeah, 100% right. 100%
He's good for that team. He's
perfect for that team.
And again, he's one of those guys that sometimes the eye test isn't even that impressive.
This guy has been through a lot even since college. Man.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So I'm rooting for him because everyone that's tried to tear him down, he just keep building himself back up, and he's been successful. Tua. You see what Tua?
Yeah, he was benched in a national championship game.
Yeah, benched.
Tua.
Yeah.
And had to come back in the next national championship game.
Yeah, and cause him to do what? He goes to Oklahoma, has a great year.
In the Heisman race.
Yeah, in the Heisman race. Gets drafted in the second round. Man, he's defied everything that they tried to tear down from him. Even before Lamar, he was one of the guys that was dubbed a running back, playing quarterback.
Yeah.
These are all things that were said about Hurts. I've seen I think he was 11-0, 12-0, and they said in a nationally televised game. He was playing the SEC championship, I believe. And the announcer said, "Hey, I don't believe he's a NFL quarterback, but he's good for what Alabama does." Yeah. You know what I mean? I think they were playing Georgia or somebody.
Yeah, they were playing Georgia, I think.
Yeah, and so I just think what Jalen Hurts does, he makes it look very pedestrian. But when you even yesterday, watching the game, I look up, he's thrown for over a couple hundred yards, and what I thought he wouldn't do, he ran for over 72 yards, which set a Super Bowl record. So when you look at his results after the games that he plays, his results are much more impressive than his individual
I agree.
stats. And then he's very good situationally,
And
like you said, for his team.
Yeah, for
his
that team,
yeah.
I think it works perfect. Like you said, the guy is a winner from high school to college to all the way to now. The dude wins. He doesn't do anything great, and I think that's the thing that makes people diminish him. He doesn't have the great long ball. He doesn't have the great spiral. He doesn't do any even rushing the ball. He's a good rusher, but he's not Lamar Jackson.
He
when
doesn't
rushes
listen,
the ball.
and he doesn't listen to what we say or what people say.
Mhm.
Man, that man is
He reminds me of a Philadelphia folk hero who shares my name.
all right.
Yeah.
Balboa.
Yeah.
Meaning that he's best
And he's a
after
team
he's
guy.
got punched a couple times.
And he's a team guy. He's a team
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
because you go back and they were showing where, his screensaver was the Super Bowl from 2
him walking
years
through
ago.
the confetti. Yeah.
And walking, man, that's been what his motivation has been since then. So once he got to the point to where he could fulfill that, man, he went all out.
I can-
all out. And then they bring in a guy like Saquon Block.
Yeah.
Man, he welcomed that guy to the team.
Yeah, he
He
did.
hugged him. A lot of people, when you get to football, sometime a lot of people get jealous. Like I would say like Brown. Okay.
Because that's what I was going to ask you. What's
like Brown.
what's
Like
wrong with A.J. Brown?
Yeah, so his numbers ain't what they.
Yeah.
And wide receivers are divas, man. I'm telling you, man. We want the ball. We want the ball.
Yeah.
But man, you got to have you got to go into this with a team concept, and winning is his only
Sure.
thing. His only results.
Well, I think a lot. So, in speaking about A.J. Brown, I just think A.J. Brown is one of those guys where he can be a high volume wide receiver, but as long as he's on the Eagles team, much like it was when he was on the Titans team, right?
Yeah.
He won't be high volume because of the running back that he plays with. And I think that the emergence of Saquon Barkley, I think, unnerved him early in the season until he figured where they were going.
Winning.
Yeah.
Where they were
Winning
going.
is all that matters, man.
Because at the end of the day, once you got your money,
Because
right?
he got his money. He's got his
Once
money.
He got paid.
Once you got your money, and now that you're winning, what does stats really mean at the end of the day once you got your money and once you win?
Man, especially when you get older, because when you get older, man, you start to think about, man, I got a ring. I have some diamonds, I have some clusters on my finger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's all about. And he has that now. So now it's, I mean, it puts you in a different atmosphere, because now, like, everybody don't get a ring. It's been a whole bunch of guys that play in the NFL and they don't never get a ring.
Yeah.
I had 3 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't have one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have one. But especially with, you've been successful, you catching the ball, you doing this, you have no reason to play. You gotta think about it as a team concept, and winning is the only thing that matters.
You know, one of the things I appreciated A.J. Brown for, down the stretch. I think he accepted that he wasn't going to get 8-9 targets. But when he does get a target, he has to make the play.
He gonna make it.
You know what I'm
He
saying?
gonna
Like,
make it.
that's the deal.
Yeah.
When he does get a target, he has to make the play. And the two or three times he was thrown at this time, 2 deep balls. One was now, again, by the letter of the law, I believe he pushed
No,
off.
they gotta let that go.
He believed he
Yeah,
pushed off.
they got to stop.
That
was crazy.
Because I'm a receiver too.
Yeah.
But they gotta let it. But the thing.
But
you,
he didn't
you
have
don't
to reach out, though. He didn't have to push him off.
Man, it's gonna be that.
But they
up and
both
down the
had a
field.
little tugging
And
going
then,
on.
man,
But what I'm
DBs
saying,
are
if
the-
he
DBs are the
tracks the
dirtiest.
ball
Instead of sticking his
pushing-
hand back. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
DBs are the dirtiest defenders ever.
They have to
man.
be. That's the hardest position on the field, in my
Man,
opinion,
you
outside the
know,
quarterback.
They gonna hold you. They gonna push you. They gonna talk
Grab
shit to
you.
you.
Yeah,
They gonna do
everything.
all kinds of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
So I mean, little pity patting down the field, man.
Nah,
you
they
gotta let that go. You gotta let that go.
It's a Super Bowl, man. You
Super
can't
Bowl,
go.
you
You
gotta
can't
let
go
that
with the
go,
knick-knack
man.
stuff. But Jalen Hurts comes out with a Super Bowl MVP in this situation. Well-deserved Super Bowl MVP. In my opinion, I compared him to, and I might be tripping, but I compared him to, you said Troy Aikman. I thought of Brady's first run in New England. 150 yards a game-winning drive type of stuff. There was never a 400-yard game from Brady in those playoffs runs, in those first runs in New England. I compare that to Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, because there's going to be games where he's only going to throw for 100 yards, 115 yards.
I will say this, though, to Brady's credit.
Mm-hmm.
Brady never played with the complement of weapons.
No.
Jalen Hurts.
But his defense was amazing, but he didn't have
And I'll also say this. Jalen is still a playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I'm not saying he's not a delivery boy. He's not that.
Yeah,
he's a playmaker. Now, I think unfortunately sometimes when he forces himself to be a playmaker, he can get a little out of whack sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But he's, unlike some guys, he's always able to bring himself back and do what the team needs.
I would compare him more to a Russell Wilson type of Super Bowl victory because he had a dominant defense, had a good line, but he was just able to do the things, and you were surrounded. Because defense, every Super Bowl that's been won has been dominated basically by the defense 70% of the time, unless you get to like the Rams and all of them, who I used to be rocking with on PlayStation. But,
you used to give me the blues with that. Greatest show on turf.
Greatest show on turf. On turf. But, guys like, but defense is what travels.
Yeah.
Because defense, what happens with defense is, man, the more you play together, the faster you become. You learn your assignments, and it just becomes second nature, man. So defense is, you look at, this was just as comparable as that Baltimore defense that won the Super Bowl with Ray Lewis and those guys, man.
2000,
so,
yeah. That was a great Super Bowl run, and like you said, Tom definitely didn't have these weapons on here, and I think to both of you guys' point earlier, this is a team that's built perfectly for Jalen Hurts. It's honestly similar to how his teams were in Alabama. We got studs on the outside. We got whatever the best running back in the nation is in the backfield. We got an outstanding defense, and that's his recipe for success. Where they go from here, and as far as duplicating that success, they have a lot of decisions to make because Jalen Hurts is going to be due for another contract coming up in a couple of years. A.J. Brown, all of these guys are going to be due for another contract. Even Saquon, I think Saquon only signed a 3-year deal. So all of these guys will have some contract stuff coming up. But all the guys are under contract coming back in the next year. I think maybe Slade might be one of the only guys, or Zach Bond. They got to make some decisions there as far as signing him.
He got to get paid.
Yeah, he's definitely got to get paid, especially getting a pick in the Super Bowl. I said, man, it's
all pro too. He all pro team. So
perfect year you can have as a linebacker.
Let me ask you that, Wonker. Your first year as a full-time player and you make all pro, on a prove-it deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you and your agent come out and just
hit him in the head,
try to get a long-term deal, or do you realize the fit matters?
Security it means everything. I mean, you went out and you overplayed the expectations that they had for you. You made all pro. You did everything, and he's great for their defense.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the catalyst of that defense to me.
Yeah.
But you go in, and this team gave you opportunity, on a prove-it deal. So now you as a player, and everybody wants something different. And you didn't want a ring. You want a ring. Now you want to get paid, but you want to be compensated fairly, because this team gave you opportunity, and you went out and you overplayed the expectations that they had for you. But they gave you opportunity, and it's a good defense for you. So you don't want to be too friendly, but you want to get your money. You want to get
Walker,
paid.
you often tell me about how fit matters.
Yeah, fit matters.
Fit matters.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and you say in your situation, had you had a chance to probably do it all over again, you would have took fit over money.
I'd have stayed in San Diego because I knew the system. I knew the coaches. My quarterback from college was there. and I had that rapport, but then I left for money, and it was probably the worst decision I ever made. So he's gonna have that opportunity too.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just want a ring with this team, but you still deserve to be compensated fairly because you have a family to feed, and you have to think about life after football. And so this is a way to springboard all that, and you get paid and go back to the same team that gave you that opportunity.
So the the good thing about it, he did make All Pro, and he will be valuable. Here's the reality about NFL economics right now. Linebackers don't make a lot of money.
I know it, but I'm gonna tell you where he probably got paid at because they not thinking he's gonna be they probably not thinking he's gonna be All Pro.
Yeah.
The incentives is probably what got him this year because most of the time they don't think. And I had incentive in my contract. If I was All Pro, I'd make $1 million.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you just think about that was back then. Just think about what that is now.
Yeah.
Especially on a minimum deal.
Yeah, on
that
a
he
minimum
came
deal.
in.
Did Saquon get a $500,000 for winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Or going to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl?
Yeah,
something
and then
like that?
winning the Super Bowl and all of that.
Like that, I think Saquon got something for going to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
He got something for.
He would have got more if he got Super Bowl MVP, I believe, was in his contract as well. But yeah, he got something. He had a lot of incentives.
So
playoff
you had those
incentives.
You had those playoff incentives where if you go to the playoffs, that's another $250,000. If you make All Pro, that's $1 million. If you go to the Super Bowl, or if this team advances to the Super Bowl, that's another $1 million. We don't know what was in his contract.
So I'll ask you guys this:
Mm-hmm.
Does this team, the assembly of this team, secure Howie Roseman as the best GM in football?
No doubt.
I agree. I used to say
No doubt.
John Lynch was up there for a while. He did a great job of drafting in San Francisco. But, I mean, Howie Roseman, he's been on about a 5-year at least.
The way he
about a 5-year
architected
run.
this team this year, the way he shaped this team, man. And the kicker for me is to go out and get those people that you can develop as young guys that's still on rookie contracts like Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell. Then you go and get a Saquon. Then you get a Jalen Carter that everybody was skeptical about.
Could have been the number one pick.
We're going to pass on this guy. But
and Jordan Davis. I mean, his drafting has been outstanding.
and Jalen Hurts is one of their draft picks.
Second round, which a lot of people thought was a reach.
Devontae is one of their draft picks.
People said he was too small.
And then everybody on that line they drafted.
Well, the crazy thing is that when you look at it, so what ended up happening, I think, to Howie, he kind of outthought himself maybe 4 or 5 years ago when he took some Rager over
Jalen Rieger over Justin. That was the worst draft pick he ever made.
Since then, he's been on a tear.
On fire.
And Rager is where Rager at now.
Oh, he's been on 3
Minnesota.
teams.
Yeah, Minnesota, ain't he?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
But then you got to give him credit because this guy went out and hired Kellen Moore as well.
Oh, yeah.
And Kellen
Vic
Moore was a
Fangio.
big factor.
Yeah. Oh, huge
Vic
factor.
Fangio.
Huge
So,
factor.
man, he brought it all together, and he had a vision, and it all came to fruition.
I think those coordinator hires were huge because they honestly that year that they fell off because they lost Shane Steichen, who was making Jalen Hurts look like an MVP candidate. He leaves and goes to Indianapolis. They lost a defensive coordinator. He leaves as well. So we had to replenish that, and he did
Kellen Moore
a
came
great
in
job.
And he readjusted because he's basically a pass guy.
Oh, yeah.
But he knew he had, when you got to Saquon Barkley back there, you better
Come
run
on.
the ball. You
Let
better
the-
run
let
the
the
ball.
Ferrari
I
go.
look for
When you got the best line.
Honestly, I look for a guy like Bobby Slowick to come in Philly to kind of
I
revamp
think he
his
could do-
career.
Yeah,
Um,
I think he
I
could
think
do
he
it.
did a great job early with
Houston.
Houston. I think
Injuries kind of.
I think injuries and to be honest, personality conflicts kind of can get the best
Well,
of.
and then they got all this stuff that came out about him and Justin. What's your
Stroud,
guy?
C.J. Stroud, yeah,
C.J.
yeah, yeah.
Stroud at the combine and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
That, they didn't get along and all this type of stuff. So
100%.
all that, when you being successful, when you fail, then all this stuff come out. But
Yeah.
when you winning, None of that ever comes out, man.
Yeah. I just think at the end of the day, and it's going back to Howie Roseman. I think Howie Roseman I think they have a great scouting department in the Eagles, but also they've kind of simplified what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going after, long shots, they started just drafting guys from Alabama, Georgia.
The best player available. They was getting best available.
Yeah.
And so what you do with and this is one of the things that I often criticize Jerry for from time to time is that rather than get the guy that you know is good, you try to outsmart everybody else.
Get a project guy. Get a project type of guy.
Well, or get somebody that, for instance, he could have gotten Smart, and when he had a chance to get CeeDee Lamb, when CeeDee Lamb fell to him, he could have tried to go get one of those other receivers, someone maybe a little bigger, someone maybe that that fit the mold of a Dez Bryant or whatever. But he didn't do that. He got CeeDee Lamb, the best available player on the board.
Yeah,
and I think when you do that, right?
That's the best GM in the league right there.
Who is that?
Your boy.
Yeah, come on.
No. So I'm not gonna say he's no. He's far from the worst.
Yeah, he's not the worst.
But what I does
worst.
No, I don't think he's the worst. I think what he does is he tries to be the smartest guy in the room sometimes, and he makes decisions.
You pick Taco Charlton over T.J. Watt.
Yeah, like he does things like.
We finna get back to that conversation.
Yeah.
He's worse. The way Dallas became successful, they made a trade with Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
That's what made Dallas successful. And Jimmy Johnson was the guy that did all of that. And Jimmy Johnson was calling the shots and going out and getting.
Jimmy Johnson didn't have a cap to deal with either. Now let's be fair.
He didn't.
But look what he put together.
No.
He gonna get Charles Haley. He gonna get Charles Haley. He draft Emmett. He draft Aikman. He draft Michael Irvin, Harper. All these guys he drafted. Russell Maryland, man, come on.
Well, what I'm saying is, I think
Watson?
You go back 2 years ago in the Cowboys, we were talented enough to win a Super Bowl, man. We just hadn't played well in big games, man. We had enough talent. When you looked at what we had on with the year that we drafted Michael, we drafted Michael, we had enough to win the Super Bowl. I'd even say the year after, we had enough. But what ended up happening is in big games, high leverage situations.
Who was the defense coordinator? Who was the defense coordinator?
Danny Quinn.
Defense travels. That's who should have been.
That was a huge point of it too.
We got now what? Okay, so that was gonna transition. You were talking about Kellen Moore. Okay, I wanted to talk about this. Is Kellen Moore gonna be the fish that got away for Jerry the same way that Sean Payton was?
Yes.
We let Sean Payton walk out the door.
Yeah.
I don't think to as big of an extent as Sean Payton, but yeah, I do think it's gonna come back to. I think it will come back to bite him, man. I'm not sold on the Schottenheimer guy at all. So letting Moore go, seeing him have success in Philly, letting Dan Quinn go was the biggest mishap of the
that was the biggest one to me.
of the last 5-6 years.
Because you had a coach that had already been successful.
Now I want to defend. I'm not gonna say he's the best GM in the league, but he has done some real shaky stuff going. And I'm talking about going back 5 years. How he dealt with Dak's first contract put us in a bag. I don't want to admit it, but I have to admit it now. How he dealt with Zeke and his holdout.
Oh man,
you know what I mean? Like that was misplayed. Then you go back to, looking at over the years our rotational defensive players that we've let go and that went other places and to make huge contributions. And then we go draft a guy like Mozzie
Smith. Yeah,
like he's not the worst. Don't get me wrong, he's not the worst. There are much
bigger bust than that.
Yeah.
No, because but he has done some good
he's
stuff.
I think on the business side he's phenomenal, but on the player personnel side, I believe he could use some help, or he could stand to allow someone else to make some of the decisions. That's the problem in my eyes, is that he wants to make and who's to say, and this is what I've said, who's to say that all the talent that the Cowboys need in order to win a Super Bowl in the front office, that all the talent exists in the Jones family.
That's too big of an ask
Hey,
for
man,
one family to go in there. Go ahead, wait before we go to break.
This is what I'm gonna say. The Cowboys ain't played in 2 months. We talking about the Cowboys. Let's get off the Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't know how we got to that. I don't know how we got into the Cowboys, but look,
Kellen Moore, I mean, you know,
we got all off season to talk about it, and Kellen Moore on his way to New Orleans now, so obviously that's gonna be a topic. You know what? Ain't gonna let up on the Cowboys. But look, we gotta take a quick break. When we come back, we got some quick takes. We gotta talk some more about this Philadelphia stuff. Jalen Hurts being the Super Bowl winner, them losing these coordinators. Kellen Moore headed to New Orleans. So we got plenty to talk about. Stay tuned and stay locked in. We'll be right back after this short break here on Centex Primetime.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals well versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis. We take you through the prime time topics in sports, not just in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on Centex Prime Time. Still joined in studio by Wayne Walker and Rocky Miller as we just wrapped up talking about the Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. Somehow we got in a little bit of Dallas Cowboys action, but
team, man, you know how we got it.
We got all off season to talk about the do rights and the do wrongs of the Dallas Cowboys going into
for another time,
going into this next season. But right now, it is an NFC East team we're talking about. It just happens to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us on Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV over on YouTube. You can also watch on Facebook as well, and Instagram, where you can catch this, and Twitter or X, whichever one you want to call it. X just seems a little strange to call it, so I'm still going to say Twitter. You can go on there and watch this as well as we are live on there. You'll be able to catch this 5 to 7 p.m. right here weekdays on Centex Primetime. I already seen said comment on the YouTube. Y'all knew he was going to say something. I seen him put a fly, Eagles fly, over on the YouTube, and I'm sure he's going to be excited nonetheless when he comes on here tomorrow to be able to talk about his Philadelphia Eagles coming out with the win. But said I'll let you save that, man, until you come on here.
I didn't want to be able to say it. That's why I'm coming today. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want to be able to say it.
And you know he's a passionate fan.
Oh, man.
Passionate Eagle fan. So we don't have to hear this until this time next year.
Literally.
That's my boy.
Yeah. You can have the whole show tomorrow, man. I don't want to, I had to opt out of that one.
I knew he was going to come on. Yeah,
I know Walker was going to be unbearable, but,
They said it was going to be a little bit worse. He might come in here with a Randall Cunningham jersey on tomorrow.
I figured Walker would be a little more somber today, but I think that envelope with that money.
Yeah.
His Texas Tech compadre lost in the biggest game.
You know, we had a show the other day, and I gave my pick and asked Jalen what I say. We got an alumni from Texas Tech at quarterback, but I'm gonna have to go against him with this one.
Oh, okay.
I picked Philadelphia.
Yeah, he did. He picked Philly to come out there and get the dub.
I've been accurate the whole playoffs.
Yeah, he was.
I'm serious.
He was.
Everything I
and we was online for most of them picks, man. I should have been at the. They lucky Vegas now a little closer. I might have had a couple more dollars in my pocket.
I've been on every one of them, man. Every one.
Hey, man, like I say, I just couldn't bet against Mahomes, man.
You went with Kansas City?
Yeah. That was my bet. I think Philly has a better team.
Yeah. But he didn't want to bet against Mahomes.
It's people right now in the homeless shelter from betting against Mahomes.
Man, I'm telling you, that Eagles plus 1.5 look pretty good
right now. I know some people that's really sick.
Oh yeah. They bet big. I couldn't find them when I was trying to make a bet though.
You look at the run that Mahomes has won. Like I want to say we were looking at it yesterday. Someone said he had won 9 straight playoff games, and he had won like 5 games where he had been down 10 at least 10 in those players.
2 of the Super Bowls he was down.
Games.
2 of the Super Bowls he was down 10 in the Super Bowl in those games.
But when you down what 20
24 to 0 at halftime.
Yeah, that ain't.
Hey, that's a whole different ball game.
You know the other thing too. I think in my mind,
mm-hmm.
I believe that I even wiped away the Tampa Bay game away because that doesn't seem like it's even part of his resume.
Yeah.
But yesterday it almost
That's the first
was
thing
a
you thought of.
repeat
Yeah, it
of
was.
the Tampa-
It was the exact
repeat.
same game plan that Todd
you
Bowles
see that?
had.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah, I see you,
he's
baby.
showing that tech off, y'all. He's showing that Texas Tech. Hey,
but that don't matter right now because
No.
hey, man, I'm
The
telling you,
Philadelphia
I picked
Eagles.
Philadelphia.
You had to give
I felt like they had better personnel on both sides of the ball. They had a playmaker in every position.
And-
Kansas City don't have a playmaker.
And,
No, they
and
don't.
Walker, this is something you said many times to me. Players win championships. As much as people want to put it on coaches,
Mm-hmm.
as much as people want to do that, but you've always said that players make plays and players win championships.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we saw
coaches
yesterday.
are important, but you got to have players.
But you remember me and you talking, and I always said, winners find a way to win and losers find a way to lose.
Said it all year on this show.
Yesterday, that wasn't the case.
Mm-mm.
It was just the best team, the best personnel. These guys was on a mission, and they went out and they
I think
won the
their
ball
season is more of a testament to what you just said of winners finding a way to win. Because
Yeah.
Kansas City are winners. A lot of those games they
They
should
only
have
lost
lost.
one game. That's
Yeah.
the second game they lost.
And
Oh,
and they should have lost at least five. I mean, at least 5 of those games
Yeah,
where it comes
so-
down to a last second play. But to your point, winners find a way to win,
And
and
it
that's
was
what they
just a
did.
bad matchup for them
Yeah.
because if you put Baltimore or Buffalo in that position, I think you have a ball game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a
And
way
I'm
better
being
ball
honest,
game.
I
in
think
their-
you have
in
a
their
ball
opinion.
game, but that's a bad matchup for Kansas City.
Yeah,
It was. Now, if Kansas City would have been playing Washington,
yeah. No, that's a
then
whole.
that's a bad matchup
yeah.
for Washington.
That's a whole nother ball game if they get out there and do. But like you said, Philadelphia, just superb matchup for them against Kansas City in all positions, as we broke down the last week. Go ahead.
Well, let's talk about this. During the playoffs, now this is just, I have to be perfectly honest. The Eagles didn't have trouble with anybody.
No, that's what I'm
They
saying.
smacked everybody.
They didn't have trouble with
The
anybody.
team
in
they had the
playoffs.
most trouble with, in my opinion, was the Rams. I think that snow really came in and helped. I'm not gonna say saved them, but it helped them because Matt Stafford was carving them up.
He was carving them up.
Until that snow came, and then they were able to run the ball, and that took them out. But that was the closest game they had in the whole playoffs.
And I don't understand why Kansas City didn't do the same things that
the Los Angeles.
that
was
Los
doing.
Angeles did.
Mhm.
They little quick screens and
Yeah.
the things of that nature. That's what was helping them, and they didn't do any of that.
No.
Man.
And
They didn't
and
do
running
any
the
of that.
ball, running the ball
Yeah,
helped
running
them
the
as
ball.
well.
But staying
Kyron Williams
balanced.
went for 100 yards
But
in that
staying
game.
balanced.
Yeah.
But staying balanced. And I don't think Pacheco is the guy. You got to go out and get you a baller.
No. They got to go draft.
They got to go draft. They got,
I pray that somehow Ashton Genty doesn't go to the Chiefs. They always seem to find some random way to get somebody. I hope that doesn't happen, but they
trade. The Chiefs are going to try to trade up and get them a running back, or they're going to trade
Or
up
lineman.
and get them a lineman. Now,
they got to get some
supposedly,
linemen.
supposedly this is a good draft for interior linemen.
and a great draft for running
They
backs
have
as
to
well.
get younger. They have to get younger on that offensive line.
Yeah.
They do. They have to get it younger, and their receiving core. Now you got a stable in Xavier Worthy,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not a number one.
Them missing on Sky Moore, I think, hurt them because they drafted Sky Moore and they took him early and took a chance because he was so successful at Western Michigan and it broke all of these records, and he turned out to just be a complete and total bust.
He's not even in the league.
No,
anymore.
he's just been them drafting him. I think really hurt them. But if they get back in the draft, this is probably one of the best running back drafts I've seen since I've been paying attention probably to the draft. This is a really really good running back draft. So they can get a running back later in rounds. If they can go and get some interior linemen, like you said, help them get
lineman
younger.
is the game. You have to build the interior first.
Yeah.
And if because I think they're okay defense. They can get some defensive backs in the third, fourth round or whatever.
Mhm.
But you have to go with offensive linemen. You have to go build that interior.
sure.
You have to get bigger.
Their tackles play
I
terrible
mean,
all year.
Let me ask you this, guys. This game, when we looked at
Mm-hmm.
it, to me it looked a lot like the game last year
Against San Francisco.
against San Francisco, except for the fact that they had Purdy at quarterback, who was not as effective as Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he can't
Yeah.
do it with
You know
his
what I mean?
legs.
Yeah.
he can't do
Yeah,
it with his
and
Yeah.
so-
legs.
Although, he can't do it with his leg. That was
And
the
so-
biggest difference.
And so the game stayed closer. It stayed more competitive because, they were able to limit the San Francisco's offense. But ultimately, the pressures and all that kind of stuff that we were seeing by Bosa. I mean, those things were still going on even that game. But again, that's why I felt like, that Mahomes would find a way. But there was no way.
No,
he was in the middle of it.
It was just like that Tampa Bay game. That was the only game. Those two games, the only games.
And they rushed forward.
And they rushed forward. Those are the only two games I've seen Mahomes have no chance in. Is against this game we just watched and that game he lost against Tampa Bay, and it was all because of offensive line play.
You just had a big disadvantage if you can rush forward and get pressure on a guy and keep him in the pocket, and he can't even step up and pass the ball. You had a big disadvantage. And like I said, you got 4 rushing, and that means you can sit back and you can play zone.
Yeah.
And you can play your matchup zone with 7 guys, man. That's a big advantage. And going against 4 guys that's going out in the route.
It also lets me know of how close Patrick is. Not only, he's 1-3, and we got to give him a pat on his back, but he could have very well lost that first one to San Francisco. Matter of fact,
he should have. If Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't overthrow Emmanuel Sanders with 2 minutes left in the game, a wide open touchdown, but he overthrows him, that game's up. They win that game.
And even last year, he used his legs to pick up a first down.
And then I want to say I forget the other Eagles game. They should have lost.
Jalen Hurts outplayed him in that game.
But we can't take that away from him. That's history.
No. It's over with. It's over with.
It lets you know how critical the outcomes of the games are, because had he lost all 5 Super Bowls, we would be looking at him quite differently now.
A lot differently
than we do.
Going
now,
to 5
we don't have to do that, right? But we know, and we got to get into this conversation a little bit because Luke's debut may be happening.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second.
But what I want to say is, we all know how losing in the biggest game, even though it should not, in my opinion, be a negative on a guy's resume, it does impact.
It ends up being a negative.
But I think it's gonna motivate him, and I see the Chiefs back there next year.
Yeah, I mean,
or Baltimore. I see Baltimore or the Chiefs. I don't see Buffalo having that run like they did, but I do see the Chiefs or Baltimore in the Super Bowl next year.
Again, I see Baltimore being a better version of themselves next year. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. Now, we do know Baltimore plays the more of a high pressure style of defense, but I think this kind of gives them a blueprint of kind of how to deal with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. More importantly, now can Mahomes adjust? I think he can, but he can only adjust if the defense, if the KC defense is able to contain the other offense. Because because I think that's the key. Once they got 17 up, then the game kind of got out of Mahomes' that hope of him pulling it out, and then it went to 24, then to 34. Then you were like, oh no.
They got it. It was it ended up being 40-6 in that one. So they Eagles, like you said, just complete dominate performance. We're gonna go back to that. I got a couple quick takes before we get back into some more Super Bowl talk. For the first one of all, the Super Bowl halftime show. What's your thoughts on that, man? Everybody had different opinions on the halftime show and all that kind of stuff with Kendrick.
Let me go ahead and say I'm a Drake guy.
Okay.
Let me just say that off the bat.
Okay.
Right? And I think Kendrick's attack on Drake was a low blow in the annals of hip hop battles, right?
Okay.
Because in hip hop battles, we talk about your mama, we talk about your girlfriend, we talk about how ugly you are, we talk about how whack your rhymes are, we talk about how broke you are, but we don't talk about criminality. You know what I mean? And what Kendrick did was he went police on Drake.
Well, I mean, for one, I think that's something you can go police on. I think we don't tell when somebody's, maybe hustling or doing something else. You doing what he's allegedly doing, I don't think the street rules apply there. But I do get what you're saying. I think Kendrick, first off, Drake just shouldn't have gotten to the battle. He never got told, like I said, the community Drake grew up in, no one ever told him, hey, man, there's always somebody bigger and badder out there than you. He had to figure that out the hard way at 40 years old, that there's somebody bigger and badder. and got and for him to make a diss song, because it would have been cool if Drake made a diss song and it went as popular, but it didn't happen. Kendrick makes a diss song, and not only is it more popular, he wins 5 Grammys and performs it at the Super Bowl and looks in the camera while he says your name in the middle of a diss song. So I thought that part was cool. But Wayne, what was your thoughts on?
Man, they had Serena Williams.
Yeah, after crib walking.
Crib walking out there, man. But no, man. My only deal with this is, like, if you in New Orleans, you need to have Lil Wayne there. Hey, that you have to have Lil Weezy in New Orleans.
Yeah,
and that's Rock Nation. That's Jay-Z's choice. They kind of got into it where he gets to pick the halftime performance and all this type of stuff, which I don't agree with that either. But calling a man a pedophile and all that type of stuff, man, and calling his name. You can perform your song, but just change the lyrics a little bit to where they don't hurt somebody. Because I like the song, and if you going head to head, that's just part of the game.
That's part of it.
But there too, you had a cease and desist saying that you shouldn't sing it. You gonna have to pay for that.
Oh, you gonna pay.
But he's popular, and I like Kendrick Lamar because he's like more like political type of rapper.
Exactly.
I mean, he makes a lot of sense about I would rather be listening to 94.5 and listen to that old school.
Yeah.
That's my type of thing.
Well,
anyway. But I listen to a little rap.
I think he cosplays as a conscious rapper.
Yeah, as a conscious rapper.
I think Drake cosplays as a lot of things as well too. I'm not gonna go that deep onto this show. I think he's the one that's cosplaying. But what I'm saying is
two guys that was friends, and then you go to this and you start calling the man a pedophile and all of that on national TV. And all of that, man, I don't think it's no call. I think he should have sung his song, but you kind of change up some of the stuff, and not the part about Drake so much, you know.
Now I like, again, I can appreciate a good rap battle. I think, we're a little older than you, Jalen. We've lived through some of the greatest rap battles of all time.
Most definitely,
and probably one of the most tragic rap battles of all time, with 2 world-renowned legendary rappers ended up dead.
For sure.
But in this particular situation, and with Kendrick Lamar, what it set the table for is that nothing is off limits anymore. Like the next couple guys that gets in a rap battle, they can claim anything. They can allege anything.
That is true.
Like, you know what I mean? There are no rules now. You know what I mean? You're gonna have guys rapping about gay lovers and transvestites and all kind of stuff. Now, I think now the guys are.
But that was my only issue was that, man. But you don't just, I mean, you in a rap battle, and that's the song he won all his Grammys off of. You know what I'm saying? But man, you went a little low when you did that.
Well, let me ask you this: How do you feel about Kendrick Lamar using Drake in order to catapult his career?
One, I don't think that it catapulted his career because Kendrick was already considered one of the best. I think that it did end up catapulting his career.
Yeah, it catapulted
but the point, no, it did. But he didn't even perform any of his. He got his songs. He didn't perform any of his songs last night because he's trying to promote an album, because you don't get paid from the Super Bowl. Only thing you can do is promote something, and all he's got to promote is his album. So he's promoting his album. To the part of the pedophile thing and all that, I think that's, you could say it's a low blow, but in the song, and when they were going back and forth the song right before that, he starts saying that Kendrick's best friend is really his kid's father, the father of all of his kids. So now all things are, he wasn't talking about kids and none of this. But when you start bringing my kids into it, now there are things that are off the table.
Let's go back and talk about that. So Pusha T originally crossed boundaries.
He did.
By putting kids in it. You understand?
He did.
So now what Drake does, Drake says, okay, Pusha T wasn't criticized for bringing kids in it. I'm going to bring...
Be yourself. That's Drake's problem. He don't want to be himself. Stop doing what Pusha T did.
I want to bring family kids in it. You know what I mean?
And then you took the table off, and then you realize, oh, you really going to hit me like that?
Well,
you the one that did it.
Again, going police is usually not part of hip-hop.
It's not. It's not. But that's not a police situation that people are talking about.
Serena Williams crip walking on the stage.
Who used to date Drake, which makes it even funnier.
That's crazy.
I will say this. I'm biased. in my assessment of it.
I like Drake too. I like both of
I'm
them. I
biased.
like music.
I was a Drake fan
I
for
like
a while
music.
too. Yeah.
I like
But
music, man.
but at the end of the day,
I like good music.
I think the overall performance was mid.
No, the performance was mid. I think there was a lot of good visuals and symbolism, but like I said, I'm a Kendrick fan, so that's what I expected from Kendrick. Kendrick's not gonna come out there.
We had Michael Jackson at the Super Bowl,
and I don't think we're ever gonna. Prince, Michael Jackson, Beyonce. It's not gonna get bigger than that.
I could appreciate
Super Bowl.
I think I could appreciate a good wardrobe malfunction over what he.
Yeah. No, I get.
Janet Jackson, I think that was one of the best.
And I knew it was gonna be that. And Lil Wayne, that was my favorite rapper growing up. Always Lil Wayne.
And if you in New Orleans,
I understand them not putting Lil Wayne up there because Lil Wayne is a little unhinged. I don't know if we've watched Lil Wayne's performances.
Well,
dude is not all the way in his right state of mind.
What I heard was they said that they didn't know if he could stay sober.
He's not. He's proven to not.
Let me say this since we got some. So the Bay Area is hosting the Super Bowl next year. Do you think Too Short will be on?
No,
absolutely.
The NFL will not put Too Short up there so he can tell.
Or E40.
No, he will not let them tell the Super Bowl audience what his favorite word is. Too Short will not get that opportunity.
Yeah, y'all don't think
to go
Too
up
Short
there.
is gonna get it?
Hey,
but if you in New Orleans,
but somebody should get him to come up there for the least to do that. I mean, we can get a little bit of blow the whistle. It might be all bleeps, but we can get a little bit of blow the whistle.
Blow the whistle is what's
hey, I'm telling you,
the
hey.
Eagles, that's what Philadelphia for the last anthem.
And Shake That Monkey is a good, good song.
Yeah. Hey, so
look at here.
We'll get to speculate on who's going forward at the Super Bowl. A couple of the quick takes before we jump back into it. Like you said, you mentioned Luka Doncic. His debut is coming on in a couple of hours. I'm definitely going to be tuned in to watch that. But the other part of that trade did make their debut, and Anthony, as Charles Barkley would say, now I can say that Anthony Street Clothes Davis made his debut for the Dallas Mavericks and dominated. He was playing against my Rockets. I'm calling one of the MCC games, and I'm on one of those random illegal sites where you can watch the game because NBA League Pass don't even let you watch the game when they pay for it. So I canceled my subscription, and I went to one of those random sites, and I'm watching the game. And, I mean, he's dominating. Anthony Davis is completely dominating in this game. And I'm like, yeah, Luka is Luka, but, you know, we forgetting about the other side of this trade. Anthony Davis is a complete monster in this game. But ends up getting hurt in this game. While he was playing.
Wet tissue paper.
Yeah. While he was playing, 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks. Complete dominant performance from him. But to Charles Barkley's point of why he got called Anthony Street Clothes Davis, he ended up being hurt before the end of the game.
You know the worst thing about that? Let me tell you. The worst thing about it, I'm prepared. My wife was being honored as a black businesswoman in the community.
Congratulations.
I got
congratulations.
Congratulations,
I got the biggest smile on my face because not only is my wife being honored, Anthony Davis is I'm about to cash a ticket for $435 because I took the under on 24.5 points. And I know there's no way he's going to get 24.5 points.
Psych.
He gets, not only does he have 24.5, he gets 26 points in the third quarter.
He get hurt.
Much to I don't know because I'm not watching the game. But he gets hurt immediately after he scores
the 26 points.
Why couldn't he get hurt at 24
them the worst ones. Those are the worst ones, Rocky. I ain't going to lie to you. Those are the worst ones to lose.
If he just doesn't score the last bucket, I win $435.
I got so many stories like that.
That's why you think sometimes Vegas has something to do with a lot of this.
Man, they pushing that Buffalo Wild Wings button, I'm telling you.
Man, I'm telling you, man.
One thing I do know, I know football is created to make us hungry. I figure that.
That is true. Every commercial is gonna be some type of boy.
No, but I'm just saying, like you say, at the end of the day, man, like I was sitting out, I thought no way he was gonna come out and have
dominated.
Dominated. And they were like feeding him the ball first, and then because I did go back and rewatch it. I mean, he's slamming. He's throwing. He
don't have to play that
mid-range threes.
He's playing what he want to play now. He's playing that 4.
He looked like a monster out there. He looked like Bubble Davis.
Yeah.
He's playing that 4.
To his point, he's been playing that way all year long. It's just but him going in there and doing that in the debut was definitely crazy. But he gets injured and is now can potentially miss up to 2 months, and it's only 2 months left in the whole
Also,
season.
he tore it.
Yeah, he could potentially miss
It's
2
not
months.
a strain.
Yeah.
No.
He said after the deal he didn't think it was that big a deal.
Yeah, he said
All right.
that,
Well,
but they
he
came
figured
out
that
with
out.
reports today.
He must have got the
Yesterday.
MRI on it and said
Yeah.
he tore it.
And so, with that being said, Kyrie replaces him in the All-Star game. But me and Jalen was talking about this the other day, and I told him Kyrie can't stay healthy either.
No.
And Anthony Davis won't be able to stay. This
Nope.
is before he got hurt.
Yep.
They won't be able to. So, this trade
Rob
gonna-
Pelinka looks like Nostradamus right
Man,
now.
Rob
Exactly.
Pelinka
So,
looks like a genius.
my thing is this trade won't be effective until next year because Kyrie sometimes he has a problem with staying healthy too,
Mm-hmm.
and AD, you know what his history is.
Let me ask you this. For some reason, the other trade was rescinded because, these are my contacts say that for some reason Mark Williams couldn't pass the physical.
Well,
The trade got rescinded, and to that point, I didn't think it was going to be rescinded. But as soon as it said it was rescinded, I said, okay, that makes sense. This dude played 80 games in 3 years with back injuries, and y'all are both sports fanatics. Back injuries don't go well with basketball.
every team has his own set of doctors. Okay,
Mhm.
so what Charlotte doctors may be saying doesn't mean anything compared to what
Nope.
because they're gonna go check you out before you do a trade or any player comes in. They're gonna do, man. It's a whole day of testing.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, it ain't just the physical like you do with high school.
Yeah.
You know,
Cough.
Yeah, I'm about to say the cough.
It ain't turn around and open them up and cough, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
It's a very extensive examination.
It's all that.
Oh, yeah.
It's an
Oh, yeah.
examination, and it's over your whole body, man. They gonna
They probably got your
EKG.
medical reports over here, and you right, and they're checking everything. out.
Everything, man. They
Yeah.
gonna MRI everything.
And the medical report's not gonna look good. His not.
Everything. And so, some of that type of stuff, what the other team don't reveal, these doctors will.
Well, just in reading,
Mm-hmm.
the way they worded it, they can't really release what.
No, because he's not their player.
No. They can't release what is for NBA players. They only can release what's on the medical report.
Mhm.
He wasn't on a medical report, injury report before he was traded, so they can't release any of the medical information that was found during the.
They can't disclose that because he's not their player.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, he would have to.
And he would have to okay it too.
Yeah.
But he's not their player, so they can't release anything on someone that's not their player. He's not their player until that physical is passed.
Let me ask you this here, Walt. How does Dalton Connect feel? Is he like
Crazy.
Is he upset because they even traded him? Is he relieved that he gets to go back to?
Well, he's relieved
that part
because
too.
man, you go back to sunny LA, man. You was in Charlotte,
With Luka and LeBron.
Luka, and I know that's one of the guys. And you can go as a general manager. Pelinka can go and say, "Hey, man, we didn't want to trade you anyway." Because I know that's the decision.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to trade that guy. That guy is in his first year, and he's coming in and he's been playing
Been
well.
effective, yeah.
Yeah. So now you got to go back and you got to reassure him that, hey, man, you have a spot here, and Cam Reddish, he's a veteran. He's been in the league.
And he's about to get cut too, because
Yeah.
they got to open up a spot to get a center now.
Yeah.
So he's
Who they gonna get?
and find something. See, and
Well,
like I said last time, I
well,
don't think they need a center like that. Just my opinion, because
Well, they're gonna have to have something to get in the playoffs.
to win a championship, they'll have to get one. But that's just for this year,
It's a guy in Denver that you're gonna probably.
and he'll kill them if they play them. But if they don't play him, what center are you scared of in the Western Conference?
Well,
Because most of the teams don't have a center. If they play Jokic, they're getting killed. That's just straight up.
So
But if you play the Mavericks, you're gonna get killed.
Here's
Mavericks might not be there. They ninth, and
here's
Anthony
what I
Davis gonna
say.
miss the next 2 months.
Here's what I say, like last year. Yeah, Jokic can kill you, and he can kill you for 50, right?
Mhm.
But there's only one ball on the court. So who's gonna defend Luka? Who's gonna defend? You know what I mean?
LeBron,
So
Reeves just had
every
45.
game is a story in and of itself.
Mhm.
I think you're right. That gives them a built-in advantage inside if they have to play Hayes against Luka. I mean, he's against
Jokic, yeah.
Jokic. However, that doesn't make a series or a game unwinnable.
No.
Is what I'm saying.
They'll be in every game.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they were last year when they lost to the
They're
Nuggets.
conceding the inside and all that kind of stuff if they put Jokic there. But again, what I want to ask you guys is, what did you guys think about Austin Reeves losing his mind?
45 piece McNugget. 45 piece McNugget. Yeah, it was on TV. Yeah, 45 piece McNugget from Austin Reeves. I mean, that's going to be, you get all three of those guys together. I think once they figure out how to play together, man, the Lakers are going to be dangerous. You know, everybody said this stuff about the Mavericks and how great they're going to be. First off, Luka's better than Anthony Davis, like I said last week. So they can't win the trade. It can't be you won the trade, but we got the better player. That doesn't even make sense. Luka's better than Anthony Davis, as good as Anthony Davis is. You put Luka in there with LeBron, with shooters. They get a shooter back with Dalton Connect on the team. Man, I think the Lakers are going to be dangerous. The Mavs, to Wayne's point, man, none of them dudes stay healthy. Klay Thompson be hurt, and he's 30-something. Kyrie be hurt, and he's 30-something. Anthony Davis might miss the rest of this year and go come back at 32, going to be hurt. So Lakers won this trade, in my opinion, and we'll see how Luka looks tonight.
And it's been shots fired from the owner, the Mavericks. So now you get to a point to where you didn't motivated this guy.
Yep.
And he goes and he plays with a guy like LeBron who can help him with his career and can talk to him and tell him, hey, this is essential, must, if you're going to be a great player in the NBA. You great now, but you can be greater. That's the key.
What do you guys expect from Luka tonight in his debut against Utah? It's his first game out there, so you know he's gonna be trying to feel everything out and get acclimated.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I expect. Look, I expect tonight, since it is the Jazz, everybody to kind of defer to Luka, see what kind of figure it out.
I agree.
What I'm interested in seeing, because I watched the Lakers play without AD the last, I want to say 4 out of the last 6 games.
Last 2 weeks.
The Lakers have a system that they're running now.
They got a good coach.
They got a system that they're running. They got good ball movement. In some cases, their ball movement is probably even better when LeBron's not on the floor. You know what I mean? And for some reason, even though the guys aren't great shooters, they're getting great shots. They're getting good shots. So I don't want that rhythm to be disrupted, but I think you have to get ready for a team where Luka can impact winning, and he has to get in condition or whatever. So I don't know if Luka's
the Lakers at home tonight.
Yep, home game.
Ooh, that's what stories are made, man. That's why sports is so fantastic, man. I'm saying he scored 30 tonight.
Does Luka
I agree.
So I think Luka's one of those guys. He's gonna score according to how many shots he puts up. You know what I mean? For instance, he's a pretty efficient scorer, and if he puts up 20 shots, you can guarantee he's gonna get 30
Easy.
points.
Well, yeah, because see now, you didn't switch teams, so now your focus is a lot sharper, man. Because you didn't switch teams, and you know all eyes on you. You know you have something to prove. I think he get 30 tonight, man. And then you think about it, man. This is Hollywood. This is where movies are made.
Yeah.
Man. This is where stories come true. Their dreams come true.
Let me ask you this here. What do you think this do for? Okay, AD was LeBron's guy, man. You know, AD, he had a special relationship with AD. You could tell they were very close. But LeBron is a basketball savant, so he also knows what this means, right? As far as the team is concerned. In my mind, does this in any way create a situation where LeBron gets more rest and is probably could be more energized for the playoffs?
Yeah, it is. It is because now, you know, when LeBron went off the court, and when LeBron went off the court, they didn't have that leadership. Now they have somebody that can score, that can facilitate,
that can do everything he can do.
Everything he can do. That can rebound, but he can't play defense.
Yeah,
But that's the only thing. That's the only
yeah,
thing because
yeah.
LeBron it can play defense when he wants to.
Yeah.
But
especially in the interior.
Yeah.
Any guy,
And people don't
I
score on him. I think his help defense that everybody talks about, LeBron doesn't play defense. He doesn't come and play help defense like that anymore. But people don't score on LeBron. Like, they're not going to get him in the pick and roll.
Well, he plays defense probably to the scouting report. So
Right.
where he doesn't have to,
right.
he doesn't have, he's not good. He's getting you off your spot, and you don't have to shoot it somewhere other than what you want to shoot it.
Agreed.
Well, so he's like that. And he's a guy that, on most guys, he can play decent interior defense. Now again, where I think the Lakers struggle is where they struggled, have struggled probably the last 4 years. And Luka's not going to help. On ball defense,
perimeter
they are
defense.
horrible.
But they got Finney-Smith and they got Vanderbilt.
And they've been
Finney-Smith is probably the best on-ball defender in the whole league, so you got him out there. Okay.
Vanderbilt's good as well.
And Vanderbilt is great too.
He wasn't great the other day because what's his name was cooking him.
He wasn't great. But since Anthony Davis,
but you know who he was playing against? He's playing against a smaller player though.
Yeah. He's at a disadvantage already. And since Anthony Davis has been out, Lakers have been
against, not Clay, but Steph.
Steph.
That's
Yeah,
what I was
yeah.
like. I was like, man,
But he
Steph.
had him the first 3
he
quarters.
did. He did.
He
Steph was
had
getting
him in
locked
check.
up.
And then
Steph was
that
getting
fourth
locked up.
quarter, He exploded.
Yeah, he turned on that fourth quarter. But the Lakers have had the best top 3 defense since Anthony Davis stopped playing 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I don't know how they replicate that with Luka on the court. They probably don't, honestly. You find some way to hide him on the court because people do it all the time. And at the end of the day, no matter how much defense he doesn't play, man, they was in the finals last year with the no defense. And Kyrie don't play defense. And a couple of the other guys they had out there didn't play no defense as well. Yeah, they were still in the finals with it.
I actually thought Bronny. I didn't look. I looked in the stat line. It looked like Bronny had a G League date the other day.
He didn't stay in the G League all year.
No, well, I was thinking that. I was thinking since they traded Christie, he would get some on ball service.
And Christie been balling.
Yeah, Christie been playing great.
Balling the other night.
He's been playing great. Even the last couple of weeks with the Lakers, he's been playing great. The Mavs played great as well. But yeah, to your point, I thought Bronny, there's a spot there, and Gabe Vincent will get most of those minutes because Bronny's not going to contribute anything offensively at this point in his game. But defensively, I still believe he's probably their best defensive guard. That's what I hope that they would have got better at. I was wanting them to go get
Vincent.
With some on-ball defense. I thought they would have got some better guard defense. I've been saying all year that they should go. They went and got Davion Mitchell from Toronto, and then I see he ended up getting traded for a second-round pick. And I'm like, the Lakers, what are y'all doing, man? But
I know I may be a little behind on this, and you may have already said this walk on the previous show, but I want to ask you this: first off, what did you think when Luka was traded? And then the other thing is, why do you think Luka was traded?
Well, I think Luka was traded because they didn't want to commit to that $350 million.
Okay, so we agree.
Okay, and what my understanding is, and I know somebody who works with the Mavericks, and he was telling me, we're going back corresponding back on Messenger, and he was telling me that, well, Luka and Nico. Luka wasn't listening to nothing he said. He was Mark Cuban's boy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was a power struggle between Luka and Nico. He was more powerful than Jason Kidd and Nico. And now they got signs. They got protesters, people that don't even want to buy tickets in Dallas now.
Here's my deal.
So
is that I sincerely believe that this call was not made by Nico.
No.
This call was made by ownership.
Yeah, for sure.
Ownership.
For sure.
Well, the owner just came out and said it. Like,
he did. He did.
Yeah. So
he did.
Yeah.
He pretty much saying that he was trying to give reasons why they traded Luka and stuff, but it's leading more into the eyesight of why he traded Luka.
And then the other deal is in Gilbert Arenas kind of explained it last week to me as well on one of his shows. Is that when teams get in that second apron, it's going to cost them so much money to extend somebody. It's not only their salary, but it's the tax that goes along
The
with
luxury
it,
tax, yeah.
right? So
Like Golden State was when they were winning.
You're looking at a $300 million in salary, but you're also thinking of another $100 million in tax.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a $500 million expense, and he says, teams that approach that situation, they're going to have to make decisions, right? And just be honest. This is a way for ownership to circumvent the Supermax rule. The only thing they have to do is keep a guy 6 years and then trade him, and he doesn't qualify for the Supermax.
And the CBA will probably respond to that.
And I think everybody gonna kind of do that. Because I think
that means that's going to be a lot of player movement.
That's why I think the CBA is going to do something to try to at least to help with the Supermax, because right now he can't get the Supermax.
The Supermax is so when it first happened, they got what it came about. How the Supermax came about was, hey, let's give small market teams
a chance,
opportunity to keep their own players, right?
Yeah.
Boom. But now they're not doing that. They're using something to, in my opinion, what's being done to Luka is a way to artificially, limit his value.
Yeah, it is.
I wouldn't have did it with Luka though.
No, it doesn't make any sense. But the new owners don't care about basketball.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
They're not basketball guys.
They gamblers.
Yeah, they don't care about basketball now.
That ain't helping.
It's not. It's not at all.
They into making money, not giving away money.
Exactly, 100%.
With that being said, they don't care about all that.
No.
So we can go get Anthony Davis. He's already in the contract situation where we don't even have to pay that money, and you don't have to really pay no state taxes in Texas and this that. But it works for.
I think
it works for the Lakers.
Getting $260.
Yeah, something to where it's close to about $50 million a year. But I look up what his contract was.
I think he got like 3 years left on it.
Yeah, he got 3 years left. He'll be 34 when the contract's up. So you just think
about that. That's what is that? 150 compared to 350. You're gonna have to sell out probably another 100 million. And then you think about this. Also, you think about it works for Luka because you're going to the Lakers. Lakers make money. They're top two teams in the whole NBA. Them in Boston, And just for a courtside seat in LA, it's $50,000. Courtside seat in Dallas is what, $5,000?
Yeah. That's completely different tax bracket.
Yeah, a whole different tax bracket.
Yeah.
A ticket, a general admission ticket in Dallas is you can go get a ticket in Dallas for $50.
Yeah,
you might be on nosebleed, but you go get that in Lakers.
You can get a good seat for 150, 200, and 400. Just to get in the game and the Lakers, especially with LeBron and Luka. Oh yeah. And like you said, I don't think it had anything to do with basketball. Like Rocky just pointed out, once you get into that luxury tax, and then they also probably just looked at. I still wouldn't have traded Luka. They probably just looked at teams don't win when they get into that over luxury tax. You think about the Lakers and their dynasty, or go before that. Think about the Bulls and their dynasty. They were able to continue their winning and continue adding players because Scottie Pippen signed the worst contract in sports history. You think about the Lakers when they had their dynasty in the early 2000s. Kobe was still on a young rookie deal. You think about Golden State. Steph Curry got injured the year before they got good, so he signed a 4-year, $44 million contract, which ended up being the best value in sports, might be in sports history. When you think about he won 2 MVPs after he signed a 4-year, $44 million. That's how the championship dynasties are built.
Well, I agree with you, but NBA economics dictate that once you because they have what is close to a hard cap, very close to a hard cap, and the second apron is a hard cap. I don't care what you.
It is a hard cap for sure. It's a hard cap.
What ends up happening is because you reach a certain status as a player, the teams almost owe you the max because you've earned the max. And
you earned it because you got to make All Pro, or second team All Pro, or third team All Pro.
So, get that. Or you give your leverage away and let the player walk, and then they can start doing again what Bosh and LeBron, whatever. They want to stop. They want to stop what Bosh, LeBron, and Wade did. You know what I mean? But they also want to artificially keep salaries down. So you can't have it both ways.
No.
You can't keep salaries down, whatever. Now, this situation with Luka is very interesting because I asked this question about Luka. Does Luka, because he can't get the max, and the max contract adjusts every year, does Luka do the LeBron deal, 2-year,
Yes.
1-year option?
Absolutely.
2-year, 1-year option.
Oh yeah, no
Absolutely.
doubt. That you
1-year
have to
option.
be smart
Until
about your decisions.
until he can earn the supermax.
Yeah.
'Cause I forgot how
You-
many years you got to be on the team to even.
Yeah, but you have to
qualify
be
for that.
smart, and that's smart on his part. And
Yeah,
now you go to
100%.
LA where you gonna be in more commercials. I looked today. He got the best selling jersey in
Nope.
yeah,
Number one
right
jersey
now,
in NBA.
Now you in commercial. You may be in movies. You gonna be. I
Can
mean,
re-up on his Jordan deal that he's got right now. Yeah, he's
so
gonna
they
make a
did
killer.
Luka a favor.
They did.
When you go from a
So
small market like Dallas, where you probably was a team in Dallas and you could do this, you just think about him now. Think about going to
so
LA.
let me ask you this, because this is my other theory,
Mhm.
right? My other theory is the ownership went to the NBA and said, hey, we don't want to pay Luka. How can we not pay Luka? And they said, well, hey, he's not going to sign for anything other than the Supermax if you guys don't offer it to him. They decide we're not going to offer it to him. So then the NBA says, well, you can't send him to Charlotte. You can't send him to Indiana.
New
You
York,
can't send him to
Los Angeles. Them is your choices.
Yep, that's what.
Those are your choices.
That's
New
what,
York and Los
that's
Angeles.
what I think happened. And so, as for a business move for the NBA, they say, if you're gonna do it, because they could have waited. They could have waited till next year to do it.
They could have.
But they said, if you're gonna do it now, right? Where LA
when the
gets
ratings are down. Yeah.
No, not when
No,
ratings are
no, I
down.
get what you're
so
saying.
so that the Lakers get a full year to establish a relationship and make some of that max money they're gonna have to pay him. You know,
For sure.
And so what I'm essentially saying is an even swap, and they get the better player.
It is.
Money wise,
It is.
What
yeah.
I'm saying.
Money wise. Money wise. Yeah.
Right.
It's an even swap.
And like I told you, I'm not even mad. You know what I'm mad about? Brunson. Brunson is all pro. They let Brunson go. They let him walk, and they didn't
Nico
even pay him.
Harrison's track record is not looking too hot
Well, I think
whatsoever.
He left before Nico. Yeah.
No, that was Nico's
that
first
was
year.
Nico.
That was his first big
year.
decision.
That was- yeah.
Is
They
that
didn't want to pay this man, and all he wanted was another $5 million or something like that.
they were going to get him on a super
Okay,
cheap deal.
super cheap.
So from
And
what
now
I
this
I
guy
understand,
think it was
all
4
pro.
years, $55 million. It was something super
so,
cheap.
So let's be honest. Once Cuban criticized his daddy, it was over.
But he still wanted to
come
resign.
back.
He still wanted to
I don't
Still
resign
think-
wanted to come back.
I
on a cheap deal. 4 years,
Yes.
50 or 60
Yes,
million.
he still
Super
wants
cheap
to come
deal.
back, right?
They said no. His agent said, we'll take 4 for 60, and the Mavericks said no.
Okay, but I thought the original relationship was ended when Cuban openly criticized Daddy.
It
Bob
probably
or something
soured,
like
but at that point, Brunson is not. He's trying to get solidified money. He said 4 years, 60 million. Brunson, the second round pick. He's like, okay, I'll take the 4 years, 60. Nico Harrison said no, and that's how he even got to New York.
But he ended up getting $21 million a year from the Knicks.
He did, but he was going to sign an extension.
Yeah, he was going to sign an extension.
He was going to sign the extension, and Nico said no. And then he went to the Western Conference Finals,
And,
and
now he all pro.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I got it wrong because he didn't say Nico had already said no before he went to the Western Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the Western Conference Finals is after the Western Conference Finals is when
he ended up going to the Knicks.
when
Cuban had something to say, yeah.
about his
Uh-huh.
dad.
Yeah, and Luka got hurt. Jalen had to play.
And got them all the way, got them to the second round.
Was balling.
They would have lost in the
and
first
you
round.
could see his potential at that point.
Yeah.
So, and it was his first year.
And
first or second year. So now you don't let him go. Now this man all pro. I mean,
That was Nico's first decision as GM because that was his first
Nico,
year.
like you say, Nico's track record ain't good.
No,
man.
because that was his very first
but
decision
my
he had to
homeboy
make.
told me that Nico and Luka didn't get along at all.
I bet they didn't.
They was like they were bumping heads, and Luka
Nico
wasn't even
seems-
speaking to him.
Nico seems like one of those guys that assumes he knows a lot. Not saying he doesn't know a lot about basketball, but assumes he knows a lot. But we know he got that job because of his ties to Nike. He worked for Nike for like 20 years.
Yeah,
That's why he got the job. That's why him and Pelinka was so. If you can trade him to anybody, who you gonna trade him to? Well, I've been knowing Rob Pelinka for 20, 30 years. That's what I'm going to trade him to. And that's how the
Yeah,
deal
yeah,
even
yeah.
transpired.
Well, like
It got
I say,
to
they
him.
had to keep it a secret because
No.
Oh,
any
yeah.
rumor about Luka being traded
Oh,
would
Man, that'd have blew it up.
They would've burned
hysteria at the
Yeah.
at the
They'd have burned
stadium.
down American Airlines.
Yeah, they would have. Yeah,
man.
no, seriously.
Yeah, because now
Seriously.
they protested and everything. You
They
got a lot
waited
of
till Saturday night.
And didn't tell. The best thing I do like about it is they didn't tell Danny
Super Bowl
Ainge.
was the focus.
Yeah. The
Well,
best thing I like about it was they didn't tell Danny Ainge at all. And he ended up being the piece to help that trade go by. And he came out and said after, there's no way or no chance I would have helped the Lakers do anything. But they didn't tell him. The Lakers just said, hey, you want Jalen Hood-Schifino for a second-round pick? Okay, sure. Let's just do it. They didn't tell him you're part of a 3-team trade and Luka's about to go to L.A.
Right,
Because he
right.
said there's no chance he would have been a part of that whatsoever. And that's how the trade even went through. So I do like that they did that to Danny Ainge, though.
Man,
They put the okey doke on him. They pulled a Danny Ainge on Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
They pulled a Danny Ainge up because he's known for doing that.
They had to keep him in the blind.
Yeah, they kept him completely in the blind because he would not have helped the Lakers whatsoever. And Danny Ainge has done that to multiple GMs. We're just about out of time here on today's show. Before we go, I gotta get y'all just quick opinion on this. Aaron Rodgers is apparently moving on from the Jets. Something happened and they've come to some agreement to where Aaron Rodgers is not going to be the quarterback next year. He's going to get traded some type of way. Any thoughts on Aaron Rodgers not being there?
This is Aaron Glenn saying, "This is my team.
Yeah.
Ain't but one coach.
Yep.
And it's me."
I agree.
You know what I mean? And I think that's, again, I'm a pro player kind of guy. I'm a pro player kind of guy. But when you walk into a situation as a head coach, especially a black man in particular, you can't have any distractions. You gotta have. It has to be one band. What does it say?
One band, one sound.
One band, one sound. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is a guy you can trust
I agree.
to carry out.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Because he has his own agenda oftentimes, more
I agree.
times than not.
I agree with Rocky. You have to get rid of that cancer right now. And get it out of there. And you have to start anew. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the Russell Wilson thing in Denver. When Sean Payton came in, you knew he wanted to get rid of him. He couldn't because of the contract situation.
Yeah.
But then they finally decided to eat that money because
What do they do at quarterback? I asked you that, Walker. What do they do at quarterback?
they have to draft. They have to draft. They have to draft
They don't
quarterback.
get a bridge quarterback?
They have to get one now. But they over they cap space is
Well,
really
I
hurt.
see a move out there they can make. Won't hurt them in the cap very long because they can cut him right this season, and his money's already been paid.
Who's that?
Kirk.
That's what I was just gonna say. I think
you
Kirk Cousins is going to New
Kirk
York.
as a bridge quarterback, somebody who I think is, I'm not really impressed with Kirk, but I think he's ultimately a team guy. They have what they do have is a decent
Receiving core.
receiving
And they got a
core.
running back in Bryce Hall.
Two of them because Braylon Allen played good as well.
So, and there's only other. I don't think very much in Miami. So I don't think there's. I don't think the AFC East is that tough.
Oh no, AFC East is terrible.
Yeah.
So they'll be fine. And like you're saying, Kirk Cousins is most definitely the best available bridge quarterback that'll be available on the market going into next year. So I agree. I think just like you said, this is Aaron Glenn coming and saying, "Bro, this is my team.
You got to get rid of that.
Yeah, we're not gonna do the. I gotta take my plane and I gotta do this and I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna fake retire 6 times and I'm gonna go on Pat McAfee and say it was y'all fault. No, we're not doing that stuff. So I agree with Aaron Glenn, and this is the right move. 35% of NFL black head coaches get fired after their first year, which is an absolutely insane stat that even happens. And Aaron Glenn is a black head coach. So, hey, we're not even going to play that game.
We do know that, I don't know what this percentage is. Very few of them go into a situation where they have an opportunity to either acquire or have a franchise quarterback.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think that's Aaron Glenn's. His next move should be getting or acquiring or franchise quarterback. I don't know that. I want to say where they draft. I don't think.
No, they're drafting in the middle round somewhere.
I think
in
they're
there.
after the Raiders, and I think anybody after the
seventh pick, right after the Raiders. Seventh pick.
Anything after the Raiders, Shador and
Cam will
be gone.
Yeah.
After the Raiders, and if that's if someone doesn't trade up to get now. This is last of the week. Well, we're not on the radio, so we can go as long as we want. So I just want to put this out to you, Walker. Is either one of those quarterbacks worth trading up for if you're the Raiders or if you're the Jets?
I I don't think so. I don't think so. And I'm tell you why. I don't think Shadua is going to be a franchise. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a franchise quarterback, but I think he's going to be a good quarterback. Cam, I think he has a stronger arm and he can do just as many things. I looked at it. I looked at both of the guys, and I think Cam Ward is a better quarterback.
I think most GMs agree with you. I think that's why he's going to be the first quarterback off the board.
Yeah, because I looked at it, his decision making, and Shadua comes from a pro style offense. Okay, but Shadua passed 80% of the time, and he was effective when he has time. He holds on the ball a little too long. But I don't think he can throw to the wide side of the field. I was kind of looking at his arm strength and this, that, and that. He can't throw to the wide side of the field.
His ball loses. He has great anticipation, but I think on flatter distance throws, his ball loses energy as it gets, which makes it really easy to catch.
Yeah,
but it also makes
for
it
both
easy
teams
to
go the other way.
Both teams can easily catch.
They go the other way, and then you look at Cam Ward. He can throw to the wide side of the field.
Oh yeah, he has
because he got arm strength.
Arm.
So,
but the Giants, who I think have the first pick, if I'm not mistaken,
he like Eli.
Third pick.
Okay, they had, old boy messed them.
That last win got him out of it. It's Tennessee, Cleveland, New York, New England, and Jacksonville, who aren't going to take quarterbacks. Then at 6, Vegas, 7, New York Jets.
So I don't think the Jets is going. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think the Giants are going to pick either one of these guys.
You think they're just going to go into next year with
No.
Drew Lock?
Yeah,
I think they'll pick one. I think they'll pick one of them.
So here's the deal. I think the Giants will probably prefer to have the McCarthy kid from Minnesota if they could somehow get him over whatever.
Because I think Minnesota wants Darnold back.
Yeah, as they should want Darnold back.
Yeah, they should. But then you got to have a long-term plan as well.
You do.
So you keep both of them because that's draft. They ain't paying them that much.
I think they go the Green Bay approach. I think they keep Darnold for the next 3 years.
Right.
Probably,
right.
And then let McCarthy come in on that 5th-year option and let McCarthy, similar to what Jordan Love did, played on his 5th-year option, and then they extended him after that if he's good.
It's going to be like $30 million.
But like you said, I think they can go and get a guy because they're going to cut Kirk Cousins. So you go get Kirk Cousins, and you that's what the Jets should do.
So,
But the Giants, they have so many needs. So even if you go out and get a quarterback and you get one of these guys that's really, I mean, Cam Ward, if I'm going to take a quarterback, that's how I'm going to take Cam Ward. I think Shadua is first-round talent too, but I think he's kind of like an Eli Manning to me, kind of like in that situation. Yeah,
that's a very good.
Not a strong
physical traits.
Yeah, not the strong arm. Not really too fast either.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So he's gonna be a manager. He's gonna be a game manager. But he has the tools because he's been around the people and the coaching staff that he can come in and he can run the football team.
I really would like to see Shador in a situation where he could be successful pretty early.
It ain't gonna be with the Raiders.
No, it is not.
So I'm thinking,
terrible.
What Shador would look like with a guy like a Kellen Moore. What would he look like
with the Saints?
Yeah. If somehow he could get to
number
Miami,
9,
get to Miami. I think that would.
If he's all the way there available for 9, do the Jets take him at 7?
Even if, because I think this is a reality. I think even if you could if you could pawn off Brock Purdy on the Giants and swap picks with him and get, Shador.
Get Shador. Oh, that would be.
At San Francisco.
Yeah. You know all that stuff will come out, but Purdy ain't no He's not a.
No, they got to find a way to get off of him. They're talking about how the Mavs trying to get off of Luka. San Francisco has to find a way to get off Purdy.
Now,
You can't, man.
You can't. That'll ruin your
can't.
franchise. You pay Brock
can't.
Purdy $40 million,
You
in my
cannot
opinion.
do it. You
No.
cannot do it.
No.
And then you got Debo asking for a trade now.
Yeah, Debo's going to get traded.
You know,
McCaffrey might be done. We don't know what McCaffrey's going to do. McCaffrey might be done.
So you can't pay this guy $40 million. And if you lynch, I know you see this. He was good for the 3 years that he was available, but
how you get out of that then?
You got to trade him while he still got value, while the value is high, and before you have to pay him $40 million. I think next year is his next year is his last year on the deal. You got to get off of him.
Well, the thing about it is you don't have nobody that can. Who do you have?
No, he getting the team option this year, right?
Yeah.
So they got to pay him 20 at least. If they don't,
but you can get him traded for that. You can get him traded with a $20 million because that's.
But they've been able to do with less at quarterback than anybody in the whole league. They had Garoppolo.
Yeah, exactly.
And they went to the Super Bowl when they went with Purdy.
That's why I would not pay Purdy. If we went to the Super Bowl with Garoppolo and Purdy, no way I'm paying Purdy. It just don't make sense in my opinion.
Or do you bring or because they say, I think a Will Howard or Kyle McCord could work with Shanahan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do too.
And I think they got strong arms.
Yeah, they do.
Purdy is not.
He went last in the draft for a reason. As good as he's played, you talk about physical traits. He went last in the draft for a reason.
And again, that's just we can wrap up after this. After I say this, they've tried to make Purdy better than Jalen Hurts ever since.
You 100% right.
And I never saw that.
No.
I never saw that. Purdy, he's had some, like, he's a trailer, man.
Yeah.
He's not a truck.
And they get mad at Cam Newton for saying that this guy is a game manager.
Saying that him and Dak was game manager. And
not a game
they
changer.
always mad at Cam, man. He's speaking the facts, though.
He can't change the game with his arm. He ain't going to throw no 80-yard touchdown pass or the ball.
He's not going to scramble out of a situation to make a big play.
He got his opportunity to do it this year.
The best thing that he can do is distribute the ball and be accurate with his passes because you got one of the best lines in the league. You got the best running back.
Without play action pass, the threat of play action pass, he is a substandard quarterback in my opinion.
He's Sam Darnold in New York, in my or maybe a step above that because he doesn't have the arm talent, doesn't have the speed to get outside the pocket, any of that stuff. But like I said, we got plenty of time to break down the NFL draft as we are now in off-season mode.
You enjoy Cedric tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to talk about anything but the Eagles tomorrow. So hopefully we got enough out of it today to be able to talk about. I know we got plenty of Eagles tomorrow, folks. So we'll be back tomorrow, same time, 5 to 7 p.m. right here on Centex Sports Network. We'll be back. Want to thank Rocky and Wayne for jumping on here with me. We will see you guys tomorrow to talk some more Super Bowl. Have a great night.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to